Hey everyone, welcome back to the Two Rivers Tabac Book Club. We're finishing up Path of Daggers today, which is book 8 in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. We're going to go 21 to the end of the book, which I believe is 31. I'm Andrew, and I'm joined today by Mr. Josh.
Why, hello there.
Back at it again
Back at it again with the
with
boys.
chapter 21.
I lost my phone for a second. Hell yeah.
That's what people come for, the professionalism.
Yes, but I found it, so you guys are alright.
We just got done recording Rock Hard Rand, so hopefully we'll post that at some point here, but
Always about Rand. Love that guy.
yeah. Okay. Is there anything you wanted to kind of talk about before we just get into it, or just get right into it?
um, let's see. No, I guess towards the end of this book, we could talk about exactly, like, we can just do a whole summary.
Yeah.
Or, not a summary, but just talk about it as a whole. But I will say beforehand, a lot of the reviews and stuff and other YouTube channels that I've watched have said that, like, this is, like, because, like, Wheel of Time has, like, that down slide and, like, not really, like, quality, but it's, like, has, like, a slog. And I thought, like, towards the beginning of this book it was kind of going to be like that, but I don't know, like, the middle of this book and the ending just got me fired up. So it's like, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but in my opinion, I'm just like, I dig it. So I don't understand it completely.
Yeah. No, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, we'll get probably into it a little more when we get to the end, but yeah, I don't know why people think it's the worst.
All right.
All right, chapter 21, answering the summons. So Rand gets ready to push the Shan Chan westward. So previous chapters in this book were kind of alluding and getting ready for Rand to face off with the Shan Chan, but now he's kind of actually mobilizing the army to do that.
Yes. And so this is when this is that chapter where Rand, obviously is pushing back against the Sanchan, but he's like gathering everyone up. He's not telling, like, the whole plan, I guess, is to kind of like take them by surprise and like surround them. And I guess we'll see how well that goes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that upcoming here. I do want to point out too, Luce Theron again saying, kill the Ashaman, kill Mazarum. It just seems, no matter what, Luce Theron just constantly tells Rand, like, the Ashaman are basically going to betray him, which, like, we're obviously going to get into that a little bit later in this, but we have a little bit more foreshadowing with that. And then I also like the part about Rand telling, like, another Ashaman to create the gateway, telling Deshiva in this case, because the sickness is kind of getting to him, and that's going to lead into the next chapter too, with, like, the sickness affecting him more lately with the power. But I thought that was, like, noteworthy that he's not making the portals himself at this point. He's kind of telling other people to do it.
Yeah, he's not feeling as good, so
right.
He doesn't want to risk looking like a fool or looking like he's in trouble, because, like, a person because he's like, I'm the Dragon Reborn. He's supposed to be the strongest person alive. He's supposed to be the hero of the story, and then he's fighting all these nobles and stuff that are looking for any reason to take him down, or he has to look over his back for people trying to kill him. He can't appear weak. So when he's in this state, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna make these other people do the work so that I can still continue with this, but I don't have to show everyone how much pain I'm feeling.
Yep. Gotta stay strong, fake it till you make it.
There's and there's also in this chapter, Rand was, like, talking about all the nobles and stuff he held close to him. Not only, like, not just the people he trusted, but also the people he didn't really quite trust, but didn't think they should be on their own. I can't remember who was the exact guy. I think it was Weremon.
Oh yeah,
Wiremon,
or whatever.
Wiremon. Yeah. So I remember Brand just went on like a little rant about like how stupid this guy was, and so
Yeah, he's kind of
and
flamed throughout
so
this entire like last portion of the
yeah,
book. He kind of constantly clowns on Wiremon. He's described as a very hasty, I guess. You know, he just wants to jump into the battle and just go, but he's
yeah.
kind of
And
stupid.
he's because he isn't he Wiremon, he's the one who's just like who thinks Rand's gonna make him the king when he steps down or whatever, and
Yeah, I believe
that's why
something like that.
he's a brown noser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that was really funny, that whole scene with him, because Rand's just getting annoyed at this point. He's like, I don't care. Let him think what he thinks. Then there's like those other two women who have like their armies, and Rand making them tag along too, even though they're like, "Oh, I've heard what you think of women. You wouldn't like send us to the battlefield, would you?" And then Rand's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Oh my
He's
god.
like,
Yeah.
"How many?"
I forgot about that
He's
one.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, I held. He's like, not only is he just like, jeez, but then he's also just like, how are these rumors spreading? How are people finding this out? And I can't let people find this out. What if the spies find out? What's going on?
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, he's constantly on edge. He doesn't want to show any kind of weakness, obviously evidenced by him telling Shiva to create the gateway, but also, yeah, that part where he doesn't want people to know he has a soft spot for women.
Mm-hmm. And I know they don't. So, all right. So they don't specifically say what this object is yet in this chapter, but
Yes.
so I'm not gonna say it yet.
Right.
But when Narashima returns from from wherever he was, well, I guess they say in Tyr, but he like comes to Rand, and Rand's just like, do you have it? Do you have it? Hobbitses?
Yeah, he's a golem.
Do you have Kalandor? Hobbitses? So anyway, he's just like,
What do you got in your
he's
pocket?
Like, oh, good, cool, you have it. What do you got in your pocket? What is in my pocket? You tell anyone, they'll kill you. It's literally
I'll kill you.
Yeah. He's like, no, seriously, I'll kill you.
Yeah, hey man, for real, I will kill you.
Hey,
like I can't.
Seriously.
Easily, so.
I was just like, right, okay. This has been one of the first times. Not one of the first times, but this is one of those situations where I'm just like, Brian, calm down, buddy.
Yeah,
like, I get it, but from Rand's point of view, he's like, he sent this guy, told him about all the traps he set, or for this item, and for people who don't know what it is, well, I'm not gonna say it yet, but I think it's pretty obvious.
It's fairly obvious if you paid attention to where he left Kalandor. I mean, I feel like if further.
It's the sword that isn't a sword.
Wait, is it Kalandor or is it? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, I thought it was the bowl.
Yeah, is it the bowl of the winds?
The bowl of the winds.
It's gonna throw it
no,
up?
because it took no chapters to get Kalandor. It didn't take 3 books.
Yeah,
so
if it was the bowl of the winds, we would be on book 11, and Robert Sanderson would be taking over when Narishima gets back.
Yeah. You mean, did you just say Robert Sanderson?
Oh yeah, Robert Sanderson. This is their child.
Yeah,
Brandon
that's
Sanderson.
Great.
Sorry, man.
Yeah,
too many similar. Robert, Brandon, Steven.
Oh yeah, it's just like the Egwene and Elaine thing, or the Elaine and Elaine, or what?
Yeah, Elaine, Eliana, Egwene.
Egwene.
There's a lot.
Nynaeve. All right, so Well, anyway, so like Rand uh told this guy all the secrets of how to get Collindor, all the traps, how to get through them,
Yeah.
and then came and gave it to him. So if he went around saying shit, and they're like, oh, because Rand never left, right? So then they're like, how did he get that? So you went and got that? How did you get it? Or like, then they would like interrogate him, and who knows how many traps Rand set, how many he'd have to redo. But I think honestly, he just doesn't want to waste his time dealing with that shit. He's just like, okay, I got the sword now.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like now Narishima like knows the kind of traps that Rand uses. So if he were to seal Kalendor or another object again, he'd probably use similar traps. So it's like it's kind of a risk telling Narishima like what to do to undo them. But he's also really sick and he can't really get the sword himself, so it's fair.
So what's making this chapter interesting is that a lot of the names we obviously aren't supposed to really remember. I don't think so.
Yeah.
He has like people he trusts and people he doesn't trust with him through this whole thing to just keep your enemies closer or just keep stupid people close so like that they're so they don't get the wrong idea and try to plot against him.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's see.
Anything else on this one?
I think we're probably pretty much good.
Okay.
We got the gist of that.
Yeah. All right, 22 is Gathering Clouds. An assassin tries to kill Rand, who is sick from trying to get hold of the source. The Shan Chan spot Rand's army. So we have another assassination attempt on Rand. This time, he isn't really prepared because he's sick, like we've talked about.
Oh, yeah. This is the one where he's like going through the woods, right?
Yes.
And then he starts sending people away, and then they're like, "Oh, no protection for you, Sir Dragon," and he's just like, "Nah, I'm good." And then everyone left. A person came out, shot an arrow at him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm dead." But then it was a bunch of doves or doves. It was just a bunch of birds.
It was just birds. It was just a coincidence that some birds flew out and blocked it, which he was like, I don't know if that was because I'm Taviran or whatever, but I would have died if that didn't happen.
It's definitely because he's Taviran.
Yeah, of course. But we have some foreshadowing here where it's like he's clearly not prepared, right, for this battle. He got and spoiler, he gets Kalendor later in the chapters, but he kind of like had Narishma go and get Kalendor because it's almost like he knows he's not prepared and he thinks Kalendor is just gonna save his ass, in this battle if he needs it. But like clearly he's not ready to take on like a huge Shan Chan army that has a huge army, dragons, and channelers. So it's like it's a lot. It's not like any other army he's faced, right? So
exactly, yeah. So it's like the taint is really getting to him now. Like his vision's becoming blurry. He's getting sick.
Right.
So he's not really in the best state of mind. Like he can barely even hold on to the source and use it because it makes him want to throw up. At least I think it made him want to throw up. I can't remember.
Yeah, it does. And then later in the chapters, he does. But we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm. And then was he saved by? I can't remember. Ashiman or someone. Someone came and got him.
Later or now? Or like in this sequence?
Right
now. Yeah.
Like in the sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, who was the assassin? The assassin turns out to be Egan Padros. Egan Padros in Illuminar. Did we ever meet this guy before? Illuminar. First time seeing that. I can't pronounce words, okay?
No, you're good. Like we said, this audiobook is what we usually listen to. I don't think he's
mentioned. Do you remember anything about this guy?
No, I don't think he's mentioned prior to this, as far as I remember.
Oh, but he carries Tarvalin gold on him.
Yeah, which
Ooh.
Maybe a little bit of, you know, trying to assassinate him. Aes
Yeah,
Sedai.
that's why. Actually, now that thank God for these notes, it's like helping me remember everything. But I remember this sequence because they found Tarvalin gold on him, and then all the other men were just like, oh yeah, we all have like every so often every other man carries Tarvalin gold too, because it's just like a currency there. So when Rand finds out the assassin carried a lot of it, he's just like, okay, so is Tarvalin paid this guy to come kill me? And so then he's like, who else has this, right? And so then everyone else, there's like a whole thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it's like quickly just moved on from.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of just like a moot point. Really quickly after.
Yeah, because it's like you wouldn't be able to, like, so many people like have this currency that you wouldn't be able to be like, oh, you have this, you have a lot there, are you an assassin? It's like, dude, it's like you're fighting a war right now. It's like you don't have time to search like
No.
every single soldier or do an investigation. So
Nope. It might be a little bit of foreshadowing though, maybe, but we'll kind of see.
cool. Anything else, or you get?
Then we have the portion of this where they go from the Sean Chan's perspective, right, where they talk about one of the leaders, and he kind of passes by the Soldom's tent, and then it's mentioned that the Aes Sedai, or that the Damani are sick, so the channelers on the Sean Chan side are sick. I don't remember if they explain exactly. It looks like ever since Aes Sedai unleashed their weapon near Abu Dar, there have been rumors that all Damani are sick. So
Yeah.
So you have Rand who's not prepared, but it also seems like, the Sean Chan aren't fully prepared either.
Yeah. And I don't know if they ever said why the Sean Chan, why the Sudams were sick, or if it was just a common disease going around or something, or if they were actually coming down with something related to the power.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I did forget about that part in this. Yeah, so this, did they say, what's his name again?
Asid.
Akun. So, yeah. So is it not till the next chapter where he starts talking?
Yeah, next chapter.
Oh, okay. So I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah, next chapter I think they start getting more into it. The only other part of this is he's just mobilizing his troops because they spotted Rand's force. But
cool.
Do you have anything else for this one? We can move on. If not,
yeah, I'm ready to move on.
All right, 23. So, fog of war, storm of battle. Rand realizes the casualties of the battle are more than he expected. The battle is won, but Rand decides to press on to Abu Dar. So he doesn't fight in this part of it. It's mentioned here in the notes here. Wyermon thinks it's a great victory, even if it was achieved with the one power. So you kind of have Rand winning this skirmish, I guess, in the beginning. But then, even though he won this and there was a lot of casualties, and maybe he shouldn't press on, he still presses on, right? So just more and more like foreshadowing of he's probably not going to win this one, or if he does, he's going to come out with like heavy losses, right? Which we're going to get into later, obviously, when they actually fight in Abu Dar. But,
yeah.
And on top of that, I know that the Shiva and some of the other Asha'man have like mentioned many times that the source, the one power, for at least for the male side of it, is weird around Abu Dar. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Like it's more tainted or something. They don't really explain exactly what's wrong with it, but it's just off.
Yeah. So they've been fighting in like rain and fog this whole time. So not only are they dealing with like those elements in the forest, but then like with the power being weird, and then now they feel like they already won the battle, and then Rand doesn't want to leave because he wants to kill like all of them.
Yeah, like he wants to decimate them.
He's he's like I gotta deal with the Dark One, Forsaken, the Shadow. He's like, I don't have time. I don't have time to deal with the Saw-Chan. He's like, then what if they all combine forces? And so he wants to keep going when everyone else wants to stop. And then another really cool thing in here is in this chapter is that he does talk about Min's abilities a little bit. Because when Bashir informs him that Ericom, where has died in battle, Min had already told Rand that she saw his death already, so Rand was just like he was sad, but he's like, I think that's just another kind of not foreshadowing thing, but that's like another instance where we're provided with information that Min's ability is concrete. It's like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She hasn't been wrong, and she did say the only time she's ever been wrong was about Moraine's. So
Yeah.
she has to come back. She has to come back because like every single time, because like especially it's just sprinkled into the books. We get scenes like this where it talks about men having a vision, it coming true. So Moraine has to be alive, and we haven't seen a body. But continuing on with Rand is that like he pities Min for having these visions all the time. But like, you know, suck, I guess. Like, and I'm just glad that, you know, what luck, right? He really does have to be Taviran to have someone with this ability just be madly in love with him, and then like at first sight just be like, I'm never leaving your side, I love you.
Yeah,
and definitely. I have this really cool ability, and it's like, wow, what are the odds?
Right.
So that was pretty cool. Let's see. Bashir's patrols bring in the prisoners. Oh wait, before we continue on, what do you think about the whole Min thing? At least like about like Moraine and all that too. Like,
do I think Moraine's alive?
Yeah,
I'd hope so. It would be cool if she came back. I mean, like you said, there isn't a body, so I am going by that kind of that media theory where it's like if there's no body, then it's possible. I don't know if she will come back, but it would be cool for sure. I definitely miss her in the books.
Yeah, me too. That's why I can't wait to get to the prequel book.
Yeah, it'd be cool to read some more about that.
So, see, Bashir's patrols bring in the prisoners, about 100 men. Makes it worse because there's a woman among them, and you know how Rand is with women, and it's a Soldom, so it's one of the slaves, and so
it's one of the slave masters. The Soldom is one of the slave masters.
Yeah. So Soldom's the slave master, and then the slaves are called what again?
Damani.
The Damani, yeah. So, yeah, okay. So let's see what happens with this part, because this is like one of those little parts that I need a little refresher on.
Yeah, it looks like Rand hands over the Soldom to the Aes Sedai. She freaks out over that. The Soldom freaks out, and then it takes several people to subdue her. But other than that, that looks like that's it for this, because then it's on to the next battle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just the little things in there. Okay, I'm ready for the next chapter.
Yeah, we can move on here. I will note here with the Shan-Chan moving their forces, they think that, you know, they'll be able to crush them easily because they have Damani, they have Aes Sedai, but then they realize that the Ashaman are, you know, Rand has Aes Sedai and Ashaman to use the one power against them too.
Oh yeah, so this chapter does go into more with the Saw-Chan's army.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, what did they talk about? Again, him and the... So who who's the general of them? Who's he talking to? He's not. So they're not talking about the Empress, because the Empress is
It's Suroth or whatever.
on their continent.
Yeah, the Emperor's on the other continent. Sorry, yeah, and then the High Lord is Suroth or whatever. She's like the. I feel like she's the main general. But this is like a lieutenant, I think, or whatever. Karidi.
Yeah. So Gordy gives orders to save what he can, be saved, and fall back. So I mean, like the general guy on the Sunchan side kind of wants to withdraw, but he's told not to, and to keep pursuing the enemy. Or at least that was in. Does that happen in this one, or am I thinking of a different?
I think that's a
section?
little later on.
A little
I
later.
think, because this part he does fall back. At least the Shan Chan doing this skirmish.
Yeah. So. Oh, okay. So he seems to be winning at this point, which is obviously because people think they already won the war and they're ready to leave. All right. You have anything else you want to add to this one?
Then there's this last part here where 5 days actually pass. So Rand moves his forces into the mountains. 5 days of battles. He's winning. They bring in some Soldom that they captured, some of the Damani, and then another person mentions that Saidin is feeling weird. Shanchan force, and then Rand sends in more Ashaman to keep pushing hard. And again, Rand is by himself, right? So he sends the 2 Ashaman there with him to go keep fighting and like push on the Shanchan because they have an advantage right now. And after they leave, some of the Shanchan come towards Rand and he falls off his horse. So I remember the part where he's surrounded by nobles, right? And he sees that there's a certain number of Shanchan coming towards him, I think a few hundred, and then he falls off his horse because he's so sick from the source, and Saidin is also feeling weird because they're in Abu Dar. And he's kind of helpless because he doesn't have the Ashaman with him anymore. He sent them to go to war, the 2 remaining ones, and then now there's a bunch of nobles around him that he doesn't know if they're gonna just try to kill him right there while he's weak. And he was trying to avoid this, right, previously in the other chapters, trying to avoid showing weakness, but he kind of passes out.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of why he like sends some people away. But then he had that assassin thing on him.
Yep.
So then he's like, okay, can't be completely away.
Yep. So the nobles don't do anything because Rand thinks that Bashir will hang them or hurt them if they do. And then the Shanchan keep moving west because Rand is winning. And then so this is where I feel like a real turning point, right? Because Bashir is like, hey, we should just cut our losses. We won this. We won these 2 battles. We've been fighting for 5 days now. Let's just go home. Right? Like most of the Shanchan forces are broken. We really don't need to like pursue them. And we've already taken heavy casualties. And Bashir is obviously, he's from the borderlands and he's a great general from the borderlands, so he has a ton of experience fighting in wars. But Rand thinks that he can just decimate them, right? So that's going to kind of lead into the next chapter. It's kind of the turning point where Rand's like, all right, I'm going to keep going, even though I've already won.
Why not take Abu Dar?
Yeah, exactly. All right.
So that's why. So one thing is that if we were reading like with the actual book, I think the books come with all the maps, so I could like see where everything is or what's going on. But
yeah, that would be cool.
Using the audio books, I'll have to just buy a map. Yeah. All
right. Chapter 24, Time for Iron. So this is a pretty impactful chapter, obviously. So Suroth, which is the High Lord or the High Queen priestess person of the Shanchan, orders for every Ashman to be killed. It seems she knows the number of Rand's army and that they are using traveling, which is the portals. The battle continues, although the one power is more difficult to control. Rand uses Kalendor and kills a lot of his troops along with the enemy ones. Finally, he orders a retreat. Both sides consider the result of the battle a defeat.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
go ahead.
We should probably wait to talk about Rand probably until the end and get all this other stuff quickly like out of the way, because that's the main thing will probably take us the most time to talk about.
Yes.
But Soroth, being a sore loser, doesn't want to go back to the Empress and be like, hey, we got our asses handed to us.
Right.
So she's like, and she's pissed off. So she's like, okay, kill all of them. That's what we're gonna do. And I mean, the general, what's the general guy's name again? He's I really need to start writing all the names down.
Yeah. Mirage, Canar Mirage is the Captain General.
Captain General.
Yeah.
So he's basically just like, he's like, we should probably retreat, but I can't disobey these orders. So, he goes back out there. Rand is, he's still going a little crazy, obviously, and he's in pain. And a bunch of the other nobles and his general are all just like ready to go home. They're like, how much do you want to do? It's like, we've already won. There's not much else you can do here. Let's just leave. And the battle goes on, and Rand's just like, no, I don't want to leave. I'm going to take them all out, because then he starts going through his head about all that stuff.
Yes.
So, is there anything on the beforehands you want to talk about before we just get into what happened with Rand?
Yeah, I'll just talk a little bit just from Bashir's perspective in Dashiva. So, obviously, Bashir's saying, we need to cut our losses and just go back. We already won. And obviously, he doesn't listen to him. There's still 50,000 Shan-Shan, which is, that's a lot of people, right? There's still 50,000 of them. So, it's not like... Yeah, they already killed a lot of them. I mean, there's still a lot more. So Rand saying, we're gonna push it and like try to kill the remaining 50,000. I mean, that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's noted here that they don't spot any Damani, but you don't know how many channelers they have too. And then Dashiva once again talks about how Saidin is being weird. Rand is like, oh no, it's not. It's just a taint. And Dashiva forces him to look at a weave in the pattern. And they kind of see there that it is definitely weird, and then, but there's not a lot of time to analyze that because Rand has to mobilize. But
because
go ahead.
Well, because even like I remember when Rand wanted to keep pushing forward, and Bashir told him, he's like, look, we've done a lot already. They're kind of retreating anyway. You had a good plan at the start to surround them, take them out, but they have a good general too. Saw right through your plan after a little bit. He's already made countermeasures. If we continue here, it's just going to lead more of our men to die uselessly, like
exactly
for no reason.
Exactly.
And Rand then starts to go nuts, and he's just like pulls out Kalendor and is just like, I am the Dragon Reborn. I am the strongest man, strongest like thing alive. I can take. He's like, you think I can't take out this army? You and like all this shit, and then because he's going on his power trip, and he uses Kalendor, and this scene, I'm just like, honestly, this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole book. I'm pretty sure it's probably most people's.
Yeah, no, agreed.
All the lightning he summoned was like hundreds, thousands of times more powerful than if he didn't have Kalendor, and the destruction and the madness was ridiculous. Yeah. Like, because we know Rand is extremely powerful, and then like from the other books, but then seeing him wield Kalendor again, like the way it was describing, like the whole terrain was just decimated, absolutely destroyed. So
Yeah. And he
it's
kills a
yeah,
lot of his own men. He kills one of his Ashaman. Um, and he probably would have just kept killing more of his men. But I think it was Bashir that like jumps on top of him and like forces him onto
yeah.
the ground and tells him to to stop. And he finally
It's like
stops.
he just sees Rand on the horse with his sword going crazy, and then so Bashir comes and well, Rand doesn't know it at first, but Rand gets knocked off his horse and he's still wielding the power. He's hanging on as hard as he can because it's been super hard for him this whole time.
Yep.
But the sword is just like hanging in there, and he's like, oh, who hit me? And then so he's like trying to use Kalendor while also trying to defend himself, but he's like sick and wounded and can't really do it. And then he looks up and it's like Bashir, is on top of him. And he's like, let go of me. What are you doing, traitor? Like all this shit. And then Bashir's like, stop it, stop it, man. You're killing us. And then it's just like, then it really hits you. Is when Bashir's like, stop, you're killing us. And then Rand like slows down and starts to hear the screaming, crying of his own men in the background. And I guess it's worthy to note here that the Aiel aren't here. Rand didn't bring them with him,
Yes.
which will be important later on.
Yeah,
But I was
yeah.
just saying, no one, see if anyone caught that. So the Aiel are not with him, and thank God they aren't, because like we've already lost some Aiel that I really liked. But if we had to lose any more, I think I'd cry. So then Rand like stops, and Kalendor's laying there in the mud while it's raining, and they talk a little bit, and Bashir walks away, and Rand's just in the mud, staring at Kalendor, and it's just like the whole listening to people crying and dying, and it's all his fault, and he's just taking it all in, and he's just not he's trying not to cry, basically, he's trying to hold everything in. And yeah, could definitely, like, the scene crushed him. I think it was really good character development too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a defining moment. You have your first defeat. I mean, they both suffered heavy losses on both sides, but obviously if you just listened to Bashir, then he would have walked away with a lot more soldiers and wouldn't have created this more death on his side. And then on top of that, it just is another example of kind of his immaturity, right? And he's learning to become a leader. Like, you need to listen to the people around you who have more experience, who are there to actually help you. I mean, you got to pick those people correctly, but Bashir is one of the people that he should listen to. And he even mentions in a previous chapter, like, he would trust Bashir with his life, like he really likes Bashir. But it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of just kind of an immature thinking, like logical, like the way he logically thinks about it. He thinks, okay, if I just use an immense amount of power and I just use Kalendor, then I can do anything I want. And like, nothing in life is that simple.
Yeah,
nothing is ever gonna be that simple, where you can just blow your way through something and think that it's gonna work. Like 99% of the time, that's not gonna work. So
yeah,
and
if you have your army.
Yeah,
sorry, you can go.
No, well, and it's glaringly obvious that he misses Moraine still. We were talking about Moraine coming back. If Moraine was there, then this probably wouldn't have happened, right? Moraine would have been able to advise him, and with Bashir also advising him, he probably wouldn't have just pulled out Kalendor and went ape shit. But,
It's just too bad he didn't take in Moraine's advice while she was alive. Which we've talked about that in the other books that we did not record.
Yeah.
But how Moraine is basically Gandalf to this fellowship, and so I was the other thing I wanted to mention with this scene is that Rand's like telling himself that he's like, I lost. And I was telling you a couple books ago, and even the last book I think, is that I've been waiting for Rand to fail.
Yeah.
Because it was like the first 3 books, yeah, like he was still kind of winning, but he didn't really know what he was doing. And then after he knew what he was doing, he started kicking ass, right? But now it's like, I was like, wow, the Forsaken are just kind of a joke. I mean, they're strong, they're powerful, but Rand's kicking their asses. And then we get to like a scene right here where it wasn't really the other army that made Rand fail, it was himself, which is great character work, I think. And then even like Luce Theron is like, I've never lost a battle.
Right.
Starts saying that in his head. But then we get the other point of view from the Sanchan saying, wow, holy shit. Like, we lost. Goddamn, this is insane. And I'm like, so that's how they keep it. So technically Rand won the battle, but personally he lost due to the heavy casualties on his side that suffered because of him.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I'd say it's a tie for it's a physically won, physically got a point, and mentally lost a point.
Yeah. I mean,
Felix was
definitely. And I mean, I like the point where it's like we haven't seen him have a real large defeat yet. Like ever since he's really gotten control of his powers, he's kind of just been rolling. He's been balling out on all the Forsaken, killing all of them fairly easily. I mean, he almost gets killed by Ravine without Nynaeve's helping him, but that's like the closest he gets to losing to a Forsaken. And then, yeah, this is a great moment because we need this, right? He needs these moments where he fails miserably, and obviously this is really bad because he killed a lot of his own people. But he needs this to like learn to I mean, honestly, just to kind of grow up, right? Like listen to your advisors, think about things more, don't rush into things. I mean, on top, you even had, outside of even just Bashir telling him to retreat, the one power was not, it was weird, right? Like in Abu Dar, like you shouldn't be using it when it's so weird. And and on top of that, I mean, he just fell off his horse like
like
a couple hours ago.
I think that's a pretty good description too. Is that like, so think of this. So Rand, let's just take Rand out of it. So let's just say you have someone wielding omnipotent power, like godly like power, laying in the mud. You have a sword of extreme power covered in mud. Well, and it's like this, the symbolism just of that, of just because you can, someone or yourself has a lot of power and influence, can get muddied due to irrational behavior.
Yeah.
And and unchecked emotion.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like when people were talking about like the downward slope of Wheel of Time, it's like, I mean, in my opinion, the first 3 books are my favorite so far, but I mean a slope, I mean, we'll see the next book, I guess, but I don't know. It's like there's a lot of parts in this book I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, no.
So maybe I'm just the odd one out.
No, I've enjoyed it so far, to be honest. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, we'll kind of probably get into that a little bit more once we get to the end here and like review it as a whole. But yeah, no, I don't think it's bad at all. All right. Is there anything else you kind of want to talk about in that chapter?
I mean, very, very quick. I mean, the only thing is that the Sanchan are like, oh, we're defeated.
Right.
Pretty bad, and someone's gonna have to tell this to the Emperor, and the Empress. Long live her soul, or whatever they say. but someone's gonna have to explain this. He's hoping it's not him. So,
Yeah, their culture is pretty hardcore. It's like,
yeah.
I just remember that scene where I think it was one of the captain generals, and one of the lieutenants like came up to them and told him the news, and he just like killed him as if he never knew him, and just left him there in like the mud.
Yeah.
And then just like started talking to another one of the lieutenants as if that guy is now the new lieutenant. Dude, it's like, all right.
That's ridiculous. Like, dude, the Shan-chan, I love the Shan-chan because they talk like James Bond.
Yeah.
Like what's his Sean Connery.
Yeah. The audiobook people,
So it's
when
like
they're talking as the Shan-chan are hilarious.
It's so great. Like, I mean, okay, they do like like they're like, hey, show or share or something like that. But it sounds so much like Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, alright, well, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Alright, chapter 25, An Unwelcome Return. So, Elida, so we're kind of pivoting away from that. Obviously, a huge pivotal moment for Rand, and like one of the biggest scenes, I think, in the entire series up to this point. But now this is kind of like pivoting away to the Tarvalin. So, Elida is still forced to obey Alviarin, even being punished by the Mistress of Novices. Masana is not pleased with that and orders Alviarin to find out what the heads of the Aja discuss. So we check back in with Elida. Elida made a deal with Alviarin, basically to be subservient to Alviarin, and Alviarin will help her like achieve her goals. But it's a very like abusive agreement.
Yeah.
Elida she's basically just a figurehead at this point. Alviarin's kind of running the show, and I think Alviarin is a Black Aja, right? I think it mentions that.
I think my mic. So I think she's Black Aja. I don't think Elida knows she's Black Aja.
Yeah, Elida doesn't know. Pretty sure, but yeah, Alviarin, I'm pretty sure she is Black Aja.
I don't know if it ever stated she was. Or I mean, well, actually, yeah. There's so many books, dude. I don't remember. But I'm gonna say she is. She probably is Black Aja. And whatever we get wrong or whatever we can't remember or stuff like that, feel free to mention in the comments at any time.
Yeah, I'm looking through the notes here. Yeah, Alviarin is a Black Aja member.
She is, yeah. I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, she's like kind of mean, but I mean, Elida is a figurehead, and on top of that, I mean, she's like gets beaten by the novices, which is like a complete contrast to what she was before. Like, she was a pretty strong-willed person, and now she's kind of just Alviarin's bitch. So
yeah. Yeah, and then so she basically forces Elida to sign a decree.
Right.
Do you remember exactly what it said? That's one of the things.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it said. Let me read through these notes. Yeah, demand signs decree. It doesn't look like it mentions it. I think it's just kind of maybe symbolism to show that Alviarin can have Elida do anything she wants, basically, at this point. It doesn't mention it.
Well, I remember it had something to do with Rand as well. Like, it's like written on the decree, Elida. When she signed it, she did sign it. But the decree said something as if like Rand was on their side or in some sort of way or fashion, even though he wasn't, because they were taking advantage of people thinking he bent the knee, basically. Game of Thrones. Yeah. So that way it's like, because they're like, oh, we kidnapped him, but he escaped, so there's no way he's ever going to trust us. okay, people already think he's on our side. Screw it. Let's just uh, this will come in handy with certain people who believe this. So
Yeah, that is
yeah,
true.
and then I know Elida was like, "Oh, it sounds like a terrible idea." So, but you know, and correct me if I'm wrong. Elida is the Red Aja, who in the first couple books she was Morghase's and Elaine's Aes Sedai,
Correct. Yes,
right?
she was the court
Yes.
advisor. Yep.
Yes. So I remember her throughout this whole book series. She's just been like a wild ride,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
uh.
Yeah, she's been
So
a very strong like very strong personality through most of the time that we've known her up until this point. Now she's kind of, getting controlled by this Black Aja member, but
yeah, in the first couple books and such, I didn't like. I knew she was gonna play like a kind of like a big role. I didn't know whether she'd be like an enemy or a friend. Uh, but after all these books to this point, uh, I kind of like how she's becoming who she is, because she's still like, I wouldn't say she's like a villain per se, because she wants to beat the Dark One. She just wants to be in control of everything. So like the thing with Ran is like, none of them like men channeling, but she understands she needs Ran, so she wants to control him to fight the Dark One. So she's not necessarily, I wouldn't say, evil, misguided, yes, and well, she's pretty much like a bad person, but I wouldn't say she's. I don't know. She's basically borderline evil, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, her intentions are
Yeah.
good. Like she wants Rand to get to Tarman Gated, and she wants to prepare him for that. Just maybe the means to get there is not ideal. Like controlling him and keeping him in the tower, like some kind of possession is
Yeah.
maybe not the way to do it. But she isn't like the Dark One where she's like wants to kill him. She wants to control him.
Yeah. Which, well, Dark One probably wants to do that too.
Yeah.
What's that saying? It's like every like every evil deed is paved with good intentions. Or not like every evil deed, but I forget the
Yeah,
exact
it's like
quote.
every good deed is paved with, or yeah, every bad, like something like that. Bad deed is like paved with good intentions. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very
that's
much
kind
her
of
character.
what. Yeah, that's basically what I was gonna say. It's like that's basically her character.
Yeah,
So I thought that was really funny too. That like the beginning of this chapter is where like all the sisters, well, all six of them, the sitters, are like talking to her at a meeting, telling her shit, and she just doesn't give a fuck. She's just like,
yeah.
she's like, oh god. She only really cares about like the Black Tower and all, finding Rand and all that crap. She's like, I don't care about all this stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I liked this chapter. It was
Yeah.
pretty good.
The other part of this chapter that I should probably mention here is just so Alviarin has a meeting with Masana, which is one of the for I don't know if she is a Forsaken or if she's one of the just like the higher up Dark Friend members, but Masana is like mad at Alviarin because she had Elida get beat, and they didn't tell her to do that. So it's kind of just showing that Alviarin controls Elida, but the Dark Friends, I mean, they control Alviarin completely. So, and then Alviarin suggests that maybe it'd be good to kill Elida. Masana thinks it's not a good.
Yeah,
Yeah, Masana doesn't think that's a good idea yet. They want her to instead spy on like the heads of the Aja and figure out what they're talking about. Don't like wait to kill Elida. But
hmm
that's pretty much
and
it.
so what do you think about that? Because
Yeah.
to me, it's like okay, they kill Elida, but overall, I think the whole plot with like Egwene and those Aes Sedai coming to basically take the White Tower,
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't, for the reader. I think it doesn't really matter whether Elida is there or not for plot purposes. But I feel like getting rid of Elida now would be, or soon would be a shame if it's not. It should be done by Egwene. Uh, just because I feel personally, I just feel like it should. Because if Elida's not there, then to me, it's like everything that's going on in the White Tower is just like, yeah, okay, they're just gonna take it over anyway.
Yeah.
And take it back, and like I think that's gonna happen anyway. But just having it's the character that'll make that whole event so much sweeter.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously Elida was the one who started the first insurrection, which had Swan stilled and killed a bunch of Aes Sedai and warders because they like fought each other and everything. So Elida's kind of like, at that point, she was like a main antagonist because she caused all that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like it's fitting for someone who took the stole by doing that would have it taken
Yeah.
from her the same
in the
way.
same way, like by a rebellious force. Yeah,
Yeah, and the whole rebellion thing was like, uh, how was described? Like they didn't really have much evidence. It was just a bunch of rumors and stuff, and then
yeah,
they're just like,
yeah.
screw it, because they got help from, obviously the Black Aja, but Elida doesn't know that they're black.
Yes.
But so it was very interesting. So when they talked about getting rid of Elida, I was just like, oh, that's. I hope they don't do that. But I like how they're in every, and like in every section, I guess, of this world. There's always like their own little stuff going on. So it's like for people who, let's just say, there's people who don't care about what Matt or Perrin or Rand is doing, then they have, but they do care about that most of the Aes Sedai stuff. So all these Aes Sedai, like the go to Torvaldyn, right, has all these all these really interesting things happening in Torvaldyn. Personally, I like it, but I care more about the Rand stuff more. And so whenever like that stuff's going on, like like the Elaine and Nynaeve stuff, it's like I'm listening, but mentally is like me just as a person cares more about what's going on with everyone else. So it's like I like how he does go crazy on this stuff too for the type of people who don't like the stuff I like, and they're just like, yeah, this is my shit.
Yeah.
Basically.
The Aes Sedai stuff I feel like is more like Game of Thronesy, more like deception type stuff where it's more political. You have like a lot of people moving against each other in like ways that aren't just open fighting, like in a battlefield. Which, we're kind of getting to that with Egwene, but it's more political, I feel like. And then the Rand and Perrin stuff is more, there's more action and more like it's more straightforward.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I definitely prefer like the more Rand like Perrin oriented stuff over like the political Aes Sedai stuff. I can't remember what they called a great game in that language or whatever, but I remember they talking about how like the Aes Sedai basically created that game, like akin to like Game of Thrones, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Because like I do like this stuff, but then when you have like you get White Tower stuff and it's all, we get all their political stuff, and then you get to Egwene and all her political stuff. You get to Nynaeve and Elaine with the bowl with all those people, and then you get all that political stuff. Then you get to Rand and all his political stuff, and it's just like there's so much going on that I think like you really just pick which side you're more really interested in, and that's the one you're going to be paying attention to more than like this other stuff. That's why whenever it gets like Aes Sedai stuff, I feel like I have to try to remember stuff more, just because so much goes on in each chapter, and I don't find it particularly as interesting as what's going on with like Rand, Perrin, Matt. So
Yeah, definitely. I do think it's like you said earlier. I think it's cool that Robert Jordan can kind of play both of those sides, though, and obviously is a really good writer, so you kind of get a really big, expansive view from everyone's perspective of like the world and the politics happening in the world and the events happening in the world, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it can drag a little bit sometimes just because there's a lot of detail.
Hmm. Do you have any more in this chapter?
I
Or
do not. We can go and move on here. All right, chapter 26, the extra bit. Cian and Pavera finds out that Zara is a spy for Salidar. They make her take an oath to obey them using the oath rod and send her to bring another spy to them. They are surprised by Serene, Talene, Eureki, and Docene, who find out what both of them are doing. All of them retake the oaths and declare they are not Black Aja, except for Talene, who tries to leave. Logain bonds to Tovine, so that's like a different part of it. But yeah, so this chapter is just like the oath rod hot potato.
yeah,
And it also confirms what you were referring to in a previous episode, where it's like the oath rod that Savannah has with the Shido is like the same as this oath rod, where like, and it doesn't have to be those three oaths, right? Whatever you
yeah,
swear in the oath rod, that's just like you have to do that until somebody releases you from it, which is extremely painful. Which answers our other question too, like how you can get released from it. You can get released from it by other Aes Sedai, but it's extremely painful. In fact, it's described here as like one of the most painful things you'll ever experience.
they just said, like, die just from shock alone.
Yeah.
So they have to be really careful with what questions they ask. And I'm glad we got confirmation on the oath rod stuff in this book, because like comparing it to the Shadows oath rod, it's that then when you start thinking about the Ungrial and the Sun Ungrial and how they're all like different shapes and sizes and different things, but they're all pretty much the same thing, I guess. Unless correct me if I'm wrong, if there's any like individuality with that sort of stuff. But it's good to know that these oath rods are the same and not just like different properties. Because I don't know what else you could do. Like one oath rod, you can only ask like certain questions, and then other oath rods you can only use adjectives. Like I don't know.
Right.
I'm glad just like the same thing.
Yeah. It's a crazy situation that happens here, right? So Zara is the spy for Egwene, and she goes to the tower with a few other sisters to basically spy on what's happening within the tower before they lay siege to it, right? So two of the other sisters, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's 10 of them in total. So you
Yeah, yeah, and it's just it's kind of crazy, like the situation. It's kind of complicated, so I'm just gonna kind of like go through it here. So like Zara is one of the spies, and she's insulted when two of them think that she's the Black Aja, like two other sisters. So they force Zara to take an oath to obey them completely, to prove she's not the Black Aja. So she does it, and she proves that she's not the Black Aja, but then they find out that she's a spy from Egwene. And her task, her task was to spread rumors about the Red Aja, setting up false dragons. So one of the people questioning her is a Red Aja, so she gets mad about it, and they basically don't release her from the oath, and then are going to use it against Egwene by like sending Zara to Egwene, and she can't like refuse.
Yeah,
which is just like a crazy like it's so extreme to just be like, all right, let's like you have to swear on this oath rod that you're not Black Aja. Which, up until this point, they're scared to even mention it. Which I thought was a little odd, that, like, two sisters were just like, oh, you have to prove you're not Black. I was just like, most of the time, even when it's brought up, they push it aside because they don't want to admit it. But, it's crazy that she's willing to, like, take that oath. I don't know. It's like when
Yeah,
she knows she's a spy.
yeah, actually, yeah. I got some stuff to say about that as well. I was
Yeah.
gonna say like because Elida, I think it was in the last episode, like the last 10 chapters before this one, like 11 through 20.
Yeah.
Uh, at some point, Elida, like when, or maybe it was like the first 10 chapters. Either way, Elida went to the Brown sister. I think she's Brown sister,
I think so. Yeah.
whichever one that was, and was like, "Hey, I need you to do some snooping about find the Black Aja." So that's why. Then we finally get back
Oh
to this
yeah.
chapter
Yeah. Forgot about
where
that.
they're going around and. But the other thing, what are the odds that guy in the White Tower, they're just like, hey, this person's suspicious, but they did say that she said she came from the north, but she actually came from the south. So I'm like, okay, uh, that's all her, and she, what's her name, Zara? Zara?
Yeah, zero.
None of she made that stupid mistake. I guess she never thought this would happen, but that's, you never know. So that happens. But I don't care who you are. I don't care what I'm doing, like spy wise, or even just as a person individually. When someone takes me down to the basement and puts an oath rod to your head and says, "All right, in order to make sure you're not Black Aja, I need you to swear on this rod and say that you'll obey me and nothing but everything I say you have to do, and you have to do it. You can't get out of this unless I release you. Oh, but I'll release you. Don't worry." And I'm just like, are you stupid? Like, hell
Yeah,
no.
it's a
Hell
little
no.
it's a little convenient that Robert Jordan writes this passage where it's like I don't know if he was just like feeling lazy one day or something and he didn't want to like create an actual logical situation to how they discover that she's a spy, but I mean any normal person is not gonna do that. I don't
And
know. It's almost like if somebody hands you
to
like a gun and is like, play Russian roulette. Oh, by the way, I guarantee there's no bullets in any of the chambers. It's like
yeah.
I'm not gonna.
And then there's only bullets.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm not gonna test that. It's like,
Yeah, I think the only reason this scene works is because one of the sisters was the head of an Aja, or were they both head of their own Ajas
that might be it.
or
Yeah,
sitters?
something like
One of
that.
them, I do know that. I think one of them is at least a sitter. I can't remember exactly which
Oh
one,
yeah,
but
all of them are sitters for their Aja. Yeah.
wait. Oh, so even Zareth or
Zara is
Zahara?
not. I don't think, but the other two are.
No. Yeah, so I think that's the only reason this situation makes sense, and why Zohara would trust them. Uh, but so I get it. Like Zohara, why she would do that, but knowingly that like, she's a spy. She's like, I'm gonna give them complete control over me. Like, dude, no, no.
Yeah, I feel like
Like,
you could swear like something else. I don't know. I mean, you already swear to tell the truth when you become an Einstein. Can you just swear like a step above
yeah.
that? I don't
Well,
know, like instead of just like obeying absolutely in all situations. That's like
yeah.
it's really extreme. I don't know.
I guess looking at the notes, they do say that like they force her to take the oath and obey. Uh, but I was like, do you remember? Did they shield her at all, or like intimidate her with the power and stuff to like force her into it, or is it just by insulting her that they would think she's Black Aja, that she's like her pride is just like, no, I'll take the oath.
Yeah, from what I remember, they definitely, are coercive in getting her to do it, but I don't think they like literally, you know, but maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I don't think they literally force her, but
Yeah.
obviously they're like there's some coercion, but
But now, what this opens up to is that so now they know all the spies from Egwene and all of them. So they can just manipulate all of them. Go tell Egwene and tell them something completely different. So then when they go to siege, they'll be ready for them. So now, now it's looking like Elida's White Tower could possibly win the fight, because overall it's going to be, they thought it was going to be easy, not necessarily easy, but they're going to take them by surprise of a real good clean rebellion and take it over. Now it just got more complicated for them,
Right.
and they don't even know it. They have no idea. But the White Tower, like, it's that's why this chapter is, it's getting good. It's like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm kind of digging this book, is like we're getting set up for some crazy shit.
Yeah, it's definitely laying the foundation for some cool things to happen. The other part I'll kind of mention here is just like the other part of this chapter, which is kind of just like a side quest. I don't know how else to describe it, but Tovine Ghazal, this other Aes Sedai, she describes being forced to do hard labor on a farm, and then Elida calls for her to come back to the tower and sends her on a mission. And then some of the Ashaman find her in the forest with some of the people she's with, and they capture them. And Logain is one of the people with them, and he actually bonds her for some reason. And so we have another example of like somebody forcing a bond on someone, and this is the first situation where we have a man bonding a woman who can, like a man who can channel bonding a woman who can channel.
Yeah. So I know this isn't like the first time we've heard of Logain doing this. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone remembers, but when we first got introduced, not the first time I got introduced to him in the first book, but during one of the other books where Egwene had him and they're all talking to him, and he doesn't have his powers, and Min's traveling with him with Swan and all of them. I think they like the mention of him doing stuff like this at some point.
Oh, okay.
But obviously when they stripped him of his power, and that all those probably got lifted too. He basically got spirit neutered, or whatever the term is for it.
Yeah. Gentle.
But,
yeah.
Gentle. Yeah, gentle. That's, yeah. Jeez. So
spirit neutered. But spirit castrated.
Spirit castrated. But it's like, it's so when this happened to Rand, and what's her face bonded him.
Alana.
I mean, Alana, yeah. So that's basically how even they described it in the book. Robin Dorr described it as like a spirit rape.
Yep.
Is that some would consider it? And we know how like Rand felt about that. It was, and how I felt about it. I was like, this bitch. And now we're getting a scene where Logain is honestly worse than what Alana did, because I don't know what he exactly did to this chick, but she's like she basically fell in love with him instantly. Like, she, in her head, she's like, oh, he did this, but for some reason I don't care.
Yeah, like he's using compulsion as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those other things where it's like morally speaking, how can you, like, for some people are going to be like, oh, you can't like Logain now because he's a creeper. And it's like, I still like his character. Like, he's a really good character. Now I'm judging his morals, and I'm just kind of like, ugh. I'm like, Logain, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's very weird. I mean, I kind of just see him in the same light as like Alana now. They just kind of suck.
Men can be spirit rapers too, not just women.
Apparently,
okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, gee, honestly, out of this whole chapter, that was not expecting to see Logain again.
Yeah.
But I actually am glad to see Logain on Rand's side. Like, I mean, it would be nice to see them interact eventually. Hopefully we get that in the next book or the one after that. So
Yeah.
we talk more about all that at the end when we finish going through the chapters.
Okay. Is there anything else on this one?
I guess looking through these notes, it gives a little more detail on the whole situation. I just want to read a little bit of it, and then we can move on, just so we can get like a clear like ending on that. So it says, Tavine is frightened now. She's kicking and screaming, and the man in the black coat apologizes and says that they've been taught to do it, and Logain kisses her, right? Just out of nowhere. And then, let's see, when he breaks the kiss to her and screams, the man tells her to be quiet, not to channel, and not try to escape. And she obeys him. And, terrifying.
Yeah,
she thought he was gentle and dead when she finds out, and it's like, just by a kiss. And it's like, what are they doing? How are they using the power to do this? Because this is the first time we've seen it be done physically rather than with the power.
Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to mention.
Okay. All right, so chapter 27, The Bargain. Rand is back in the Sun Palace, so this is kind of what we were talking about with the Aiel not being there previously. He's beaten by 3 maidens because he broke his word and went to a fight without them. And I remember Min is there too, but we'll get into that. Cadsuane declines Rand's invitation to come see him. Rand visits her instead, and they reach some sort of agreement. Cadsuane tells him Kalimdor can only be used safely if the male channeler is linked with 2 women and one of them is guiding the flows. So
I'll let you start this one off. I just went on.
Yeah, so the first part, him getting beaten by the maidens, and then him just taking it, and Min's obviously like, oh, we need to like do something about that, and Rand's like, no, we shouldn't do anything about that. Like, that's just their culture, and I deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like he has a soft spot for women. And I get that these books were written a long time ago. Like, they were written in the 90s and 2000s. So the view on women is a little different than how we view women now. But it's a little bit... It's just a little bit repetitive to me at this point that he's just like, oh, I'm not going to let the women come to battle. I'm not going to let the women come to battle no matter what happens. I'm not going to let any women die. It's like, man, I don't know. Just let them do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal, man. They're human beings too. They're not like stuffed animals that you just hoard and like make sure never anything, no dirt or anything ever touches them. Like, there's some porcelain doll. Like, it's very like I don't know. I'm kind of getting sick of it. So it's kind of hilarious when they beat him up over that. But yeah, what's your take on it?
Well, because like from Rand's point of view, the way he grew up, this small town farmer boy, he's like from birth, this is how you treat women, and now he's gotten to a point where he's just like, dude, I don't give a shit, let them beat the shit out of me, I will not let one of them die. And like, because it's so funny, because so he gets back, right, we know what happened. Min is all like, gosh, I'm so mad at you for writing me 2 shitty letters. And
I forgot about that part.
Writing two shitty letters, and she's like in her head, she's like, okay, I'm gonna be like bad guy. I'm gonna teach him. Oh, but I want to fuck him.
Yeah. Go back to the horniness of the beginning of the book.
It's so funny, and then they finally make it in the bedroom after all the sappiness, after all the stuff, if you read the chapter, you know what's up. So, they're in the room, and Rand's taking his clothes off, and then Min's just like, golly, that I like to watch him take his clothes off, and I'm like, oh, Robert Jordan, I like where this is going.
God.
but and then and then like as Rand's taking his shirt off, and Min's just like, the door busts open, and then start beating the shit out of Rand. Avoiding his scar, though.
They're avoiding killing him. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now Rand has his shirt over his head. So I'm just imagining his arms and face are just covered with his shirt, and they're holding him, beating the shit out of him. Min runs over there, gets kicked in the stomach. She's on the ground with a knife, and she's like, I'm gonna, jeez. And then I'm just the whole time I was just like. I was thinking of all the shit Rand's been through, but I knew this was coming. I'm like, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like, they warned you. They fucking warned you. And so at this point, I'm just like I still like that part of Rand. But I do like how if Robert Dorn is going to continue to write him like this, that there's going to be consequences. So it's not just like mentioned 4 books in, and then 4 books later there's no consequences. So they're just like, you're still like a first brother, this better not happen again. And then they leave, and then Rand's just like, I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna fuck you. Well, he didn't say that, but from like that's just what I interpreted from the situation. Is that Rand's just gonna take it because he just doesn't want to see them die anymore. So yeah, I guess you're sick of it. I'm fine with it as long as there's consequences with it, because if the Aiel if it happened and they didn't do anything after plenty of warnings, and I would have just been like, what's the point? But
yeah,
I think this gives it more emphasis and at least keeps us in the mindset that the Aiel are to be treated like the women and men are to be treated equally. That's just how their culture is, and if you disrespect that culture, it's like going over to like another country, like going to like Japan or I don't really know, a bunch of other foreign countries that aren't the United States, and just being like, so.
Yeah, exactly like that.
So anyway, Gohan Kodusai. That's all I'm gonna say. That means price, please, by the way.
It's definitely not as weak. That's for sure. Rand just killing a bunch of people, falling off his horse, puking a bunch, gets beat up. It's not as weak.
Lays in the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's like, okay, finally, maybe Min can help de-stress me. Gets the shit beat out of him, but it is so funny that so many people are like busting in this room.
I know, right? I was thinking that too, because then another person comes in bringing a message from Cad Swain, and it's like,
yeah, one of
you
her
just lock the door? You're fucking the dragon, bro. Just
dude,
put a shield around it. I don't
know. What is I can't remember. What is the continent called in the Wheel of Time? Like, does it have? It has to have a name. I feel like we should know that.
I can't remember. Obviously, Andor is like a big region, but I can't remember like what the entire continent is called.
What's the continent called in Wheel of Time? 8 books in, don't even know this.
Yeah.
According to the text of the World of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, what the hell? It's just talking about the Sanchan for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, we know the Sanchan are on a different continent, but yeah, I mean, they don't really mention it, I feel like, right? I mean, besides Andor, Andor's the biggest region.
Yeah, I guess it's like a medieval Europe kind of vibe where it's like they're not like, oh, this is middle world or whatever. No, this is like, here's this kingdom, here's this kingdom, here's this kingdom, or maybe it does. I don't know. I'll look it up later.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So Cadsuane, or Rand tells Cadsuane's Aes Sedai that he wants to see her, but then later on he finds out that she declined his invitation. Oh no, I think he sent that earlier, and then she stopped by to tell him that she wasn't coming, and then she's like, "Oh, it's probably a good thing, seeing how you two are cuddled in bed, about to like get your thing on. So maybe it's a good thing Cadsuane said no." And then Rand's just like, "Ah, fuck! I am the Dragon Reborn."
Yeah, no, that was the messenger who I think said something about that. And then he actually goes to Cadsuane. She doesn't go to him.
Yeah,
which is like just a symbolism of like I don't know.
Yeah.
He's taking a lot of L's. So just another
Yeah.
L. He doesn't have any power over Cadsuane.
well, it's earlier in the book when Cadsuane's talking to the Wisdom, and they're talking about how they gotta balance him between him being strong and hard. She talks about, I can't just fall in line like everyone else because then he won't respect me. So, and she was saying how Elida and the White Tower made her job so much harder, because I feel like she just wanted to come in, be like the Moraine character and all that. But because when she found out about how all the other Sedai acted, she's like, great, now she has to make a new strategy. So she's not just going to go at his beck and call, because she knows that he knows that he needs her.
Yeah.
And so if she just gave in to him, then he would just treat her like he treated everybody else. But so her and the Wisdoms are trying a new strategy so that Rand can change as a character and become more warm, and so he can learn to cry again.
Yes.
So that's why she turned down the invitation. She doesn't. Right. She's not gonna act like a servant to him.
No. And then he offers her a position as like an advisor, and she says no. But she makes some promises to him to like help him, but she's not gonna like take an oath. Like you're saying, she doesn't want to be a servant or like a noble or anything like that. Like she's just her own thing, which.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she wants to defeat the Dark One.
Yep.
Help Rand, but in order to help Rand, she has to kind of act like this. And we get to see everything Rand's put through. She doesn't, but she understands his situation. So it's like, on one hand, I'm just like, God, you guys, fuck all of you. But then on the other hand, I'm like, they're right.
Yeah,
they're right.
I mean, part of it is definitely needed. But like we've said, a lot of the characters in Wheel of Time are kind of just assholes in general.
Yeah. Well, it's like the real world. Most people are assholes.
True. But yeah, no, like it's good that I mean, like we were talking about earlier, if he had Moraine around, he probably wouldn't have done the Kalendor thing, and if he had Cadsuane there, he probably wouldn't have done it either. So having Cadsuane will definitely help to have like a strong Aes Sedai advisor. Which obviously leads into, Cadsuane saying, you can't use Kalendor unless you're linked with two women. Like, don't use it unless you're linked. Dude. And then he didn't even know that. When she brings it up, he doesn't know about it, and then he finds it out now and realizes again that he's an idiot. But
when we found that out, the first thing that came to mind was the Aes Sedai that captured him and put him in the chest and beat him, and then now thinking is that because he's not going to be he can't even be in control of the flow. Like she said, like the Aes Sedai, like one of the women have to control the flow of it, and so they're basically gonna give him the power, but they can cut it off at any time. And so Rand would have to learn to trust the women, the Aes Sedai again.
Yes.
Because right now he doesn't trust Jack and shit.
Right.
And so this is interesting to me. Like this really got me going, because I'm just like, holy shit! How the fuck is Rand gonna do that? Oh, I guess it could be men and
and Elaine,
and Egwene or Elaine. uh, Brigida, no, not Brigida,
I mean,
the
now
other chick.
probably even
We haven't
Cat
seen
Lane
her.
now. But yeah.
Uh, the other chick Ren
Oh,
likes.
Avienda.
Avi and yeah, it's been a while. So
Yeah.
I'm just, but one thing we haven't talked about in this one yet is how those Aes Sedai that did capture him, that some of them that have already come to his side were finishing up the negotiations with the Sea Folk, and they came back with saying that they'll do it if they'll help Rand and all that if they can have a port in every city and at
Oh
least
yeah.
have like that's like a mile long or something
Yeah, I
from the
remember that
city.
now.
Yeah, and that they're gonna have to send like there's gonna be like five, like an ambassador plus like 3 4 other people with them at all times to be close to Rand at all times, and Rand loses his shit, right? And then everyone else gets scared. But then one of the Aes Sedai is just like, no, we did. You left. If you wanted to stay and overpower him, you could have, but you left, and this is the best you got. And then Rand's like, you know what? You're right. Good job. I appreciate it. And then they're all just like, oh, what the fuck? And so that happens before the Cadswain meeting. So
Yes.
and the bedroom scene. So we're kind of going a little bit out of order in this chapter, but
Yeah. Oh yeah.
what do you think? What do you think about that contract? Do you think the Sea Folk will destroy the cities and all that, like was it Dobrain thought? One of the guys thought, or do you think what Rand said was true when he's like, you guys have the currency, you can start make laws, regulations, uh, to counter them, and they'll bring in a lot of money. So that's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal, right? At the end of the day, you're trying to unite everyone to fight in the last fight. What's a couple of, ambassadors and a couple, some ports, it's whatever,
Yeah,
And I think it's a sign of maturity that he realized, okay, whatever, it's not a big deal, we got them on our side, and that's the important thing, So
yeah, because like once the battle's over, he's probably just gonna fuck off somewhere. So
and I mean, you need a navy anyway, and they can provide that. So
yeah, which like, he thinks he's gonna die at the last battle.
yeah, it's foretold that he will die, but who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, I think that's some bullshit. I don't think he's gonna die, but
You don't
we'll
think he
see.
will?
No, well we can talk about it at the end.
Yeah, we can get
We're
that.
almost done.
Yeah, we can.
Is there? Yeah, because like I could talk for a long time. Well, not all the time, but like I already think what I think's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, see anything left in this chapter you want to discuss?
No, I don't have anything else. We can move on here.
All right, cool.
All right, so 28, Crimson Thorn. Adelius and Ispan are killed, presumably by someone from the group. Ispan is that dark friend from previously. Elaine's party finally reaches Camelin and meets with Dylan. They discuss how Elaine intends to take the Lion Throne. David Hanlon, a dark friend, arrives in Camelin. So from what I remember this conversation, Elaine speaks with like one of the nobles or whatever, and Dylan is like, okay, Elaine, did you come here to get the Lion Throne from the dragon? Because the dragon is giving you the Lion Throne. Like, we can just like sign that now. And she's like, no, I want to take it in the normal way, which is like I claim my right to the throne, and then we battle it out with the other people who are claiming a right to the throne. So
Yeah,
yeah, instead of just taking it from Rand, she wants to keep with the custom and like what her mom would probably want, which is like laying her own claim and then beating out the other people who have a claim
yeah.
as well. Which I think is
Which
honestly, in my opinion, I mean, it would be easier just to like take it from Rand, but I don't know. I feel like it's better, especially with, and I think part of the reason she did this is from a previous chapter when we talked about another episode where people don't really like Rand right now, right? He's kind of like the
Yeah.
president where everybody kind of hates him right now and they kind of blame him for random shit being bad. So if Elaine was to just take the Lion Throne from Rand from his order, then she would kind of get lumped in with him a little more than she already is. If she lays her own claim and beats out the other people who are also trying to claim the throne, it's better, I think, than
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then there's the tradition of this Lion Throne. Like, if Rand were to just give it to her and, like, announce it, everyone in her family who also have a claim to it would be like, fuck no.
yeah, they would be like, this is some shit. Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, and then they would just plot against her and have her killed. To be honest.
Yeah.
Just for the fact of that.
True.
And there's a lot, history and traditions that go along with this. So, it's like another cultural thing. It's like you just go into another culture and mix things up. People aren't going to be so happy with it. So, that's another reason she decided to do it this way. But it's really nice finally having Elaine back finally, and Matt's not even with her. It's like Matt, you had one job.
Right.
He hasn't been in this book, so it's just it's weird. I didn't expect, like, the way the Robert Jordan writes with everything going. I was not expecting her to get to the Lion Throne this chapter, but I'm really glad they did, because, like, the beginning did a little bit with that one woman dying, and then her sister being left in there and crying, mourning over her, and then Nynaeve being one to go comfort her, and Land's like, nah, let him be. That whole scene, and they move on. I was not expecting them to reach Caemlyn, but what Elaine did notice is that there's a lot of Aiel just roaming the streets as with weapons and all this stuff, and she was not happy about that. And that'll probably be one of the first things to go, because I think they probably mention it in the next chapter, but I'll just say it anyway, it doesn't really matter, that she was like tearing down the dragon flags to show that she's in charge now. So yeah, I'm just kind of like, finally, like, let's go. This is another reason why I'm really enjoying this book, is because, like, we're finally getting these things that's been talked about the last, like, 3-4 books finally started to get going and set up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's laying down
and finished.
Yeah, I know we were texting about it a week or two ago. Like, man, like, we weren't sure if he was going to get to everything that he kind of set up in the first half of the book, but he did get to most of it. Of course, we're gonna get to the end of this and talk about. There's a few cliffhangers, obviously, but, like, at least he kind of got to those. Yeah, I mean, with Robert Jordan's track record, who knows when Elaine would have made it to Caemlyn? It might have been 3 books before she makes it to Caemlyn. So.
It took 7. Wait, no. When did she? It doesn't matter.
She left Caemlyn, like, book. Yeah, 2 or 3.
2. I think it was no. Yeah, I think it was book 2.
Yeah.
Because that's when. I don't even know.
It's a long time since she's been in Caemlyn.
It's a long time. Yeah. It's been a long time. Her mother is a servant now. Her name's Megadane or whatever.
Magdan.
That's such a. I would never name. If I ever had a daughter, I would never name her Magdan.
It's not a very pretty name.
No, it's
up there with, like.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, I don't want to list off names I think are ugly, because if people have that name, I don't want to offend them. But there's some ugly female names. That's one.
All your names are ugly, all of them. But yeah. But I do think it's a good cover-up name because no one's gonna think with that name that she's a queen.
Yeah.
So sorry for anyone who has that name, but
Yeah.
it's true. Okay.
Yeah.
What else happened?
So the last part of this is just like a smaller part where we have like a torture scene. Uh, Devad or whatever comes to Camelin, and they have two prisoners. One of them, they're both dark friends, and they both failed their like orders. So one of them gets killed by Hanlon. Like puts a funnel in his mouth and just pours a bunch of brandy and drowns him basically, which is like honestly one of the. I mean, if you're gonna go out, I mean it's pretty bad, but
We're still on chapter 28.
yeah, it's the last part of chapter 28.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I finished the book today, and honestly, I did not remember that part.
Okay, yeah. I think it's just setting up like there's dark friends within Camelin who are probably gonna work against Elaine, but there's two prisoners. One of them gets drowned by brandy. Like he gets like an entire keg of brandy and like pours it down his throat, like every drop, and just kills him basically. And then the other person is an ice guy. Yeah. Or go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. Oh, sorry. I'm starting to remember that now. That's like with it just kind of. Sorry. Oh, jeez, burping. Anyway, it just kind of randomly switched off to like the dark friends, and then this guy is like, yeah, I like being sent to kill women. Oh God. And I'm like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah, like kind of sounds like the worst. Yeah, and
that torture is fucking like, because not only like with strong alcohol, just drinking it in general, like that could make the average person just kind of throw up, but like just forcing them to chug it.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
And then this guy's just like, he's like, oh, that's interesting. It's interesting scene. I almost forgot about it, but thanks for jogging my memory.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then there's another prisoner who's an Aes Sedai named Falion. I think they make her chug a little bit of it, but they don't kill her. And then they just explain, if you fail again, we're gonna kill you, and like Hanlon's probably gonna torture you and like rape you or whatever. But
yeah.
Then they say, okay, our next mission is the Queen, which is presumably Elaine. So they're probably gonna try to kill her or something. But
and yeah, the way this guy talks, it's not very. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah, it's it's very rapey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But one thing before we move on to the next chapter is that what I thought was a really funny line in this one is when Elaine's like in the throne room talking to Delyn. She's like telling her all about Rand, all this stuff, and then Elaine's just like, yeah, so I'm gonna take the throne, and then I'm gonna marry Rand.
Oh yeah,
bond him as my warder. And then she just starts fucking laughing in her face. She's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that."
Yeah,
but I thought that was really funny. But then I'm glad that Robert Jordan brought this back up because she doesn't know that Rand was spirit raped and bonded, and Rand's probably not gonna want to marry a queen. Probably, I don't know what's gonna happen there, but she can't bond him. So
yeah,
we'll see how this goes.
It's
bonding the Dragon Reborn. It just seems like insanity. Really, it's like, how could you do this? It sounds like marriage. Either they get married anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, like her plan. But
yeah, so that's all I had for this chapter.
Yeah, that's all I pretty much had. 29, A Cup of Sleep. So this is another kind of important chapter, actually. So Rogue Ashaman attacked the palace, More goes mad defending Min. So
Hmm.
first part of this, Min's trying to convince Rand to go see Elaine and Camelin. Rand is like, I don't really want to do that because he misinterprets Elaine taking the dragon banners down. He thinks that Elaine doesn't want him to be there at all. But I mean, I don't think Elaine would care if he came to talk with her. So I think he kind of misinterprets it a little bit. Obviously, Elaine wants her influence to be the primary influence in Camelin, but I think Rand takes it a little bit strong. But they bring in the Aes Sedai, some of the Aes Sedai who kidnapped Rand way back when he was stuck in the crate, and then they swear, an allegiance to Rand, basically, and they
Hmm.
leave.
So
Um, yeah, and then, or yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
you want to talk? So do you want to talk a little deeper into those sections real quick? Because there's a lot that happens in this chapter.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Go.
So I just so that whole part where Rand's like, oh, she probably doesn't want to see me, like all stuff, and then Min is like, oh, for fuck's sake, she'll probably kiss you first thing she sees, and I guess none of them brought this up, but like with Rand not being too popular over there, really, or really anywhere, uh, Elaine's probably like, okay, so I better take these down, not only so Rand knows I'm here, because it's a pretty big thing, but uh, but to also just be like, okay, citizens, you don't have to worry about the big bad Rand anymore. So, and then Min was getting a little jealous, and she's like, just go talk to her, even though she's like, I don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
And
Once again, Min is like a normal person, and Rand is like, I can't go to see her. It's like, I think it's okay. So,
it's like,
Min's
you
like, just,
stubborn sheep herder.
yeah, Min's like, you're a dumbass. Just go see her. Like, she's gonna be the queen of
Yeah.
Andor. Like, you have to have like a good relationship with her. I don't know.
So yeah, so you're gonna have to talk to her eventually anyway. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't.
you have to fight the Dark One.
Yeah, that's yeah. But
So this is really, I just thought it was really funny.
it is a funny.
That whole scene, I loved that scene.
Yeah.
And then the other one where the other Aes Sedai come in, and at this, I know in my head I'm just like, God, just fucking kill them, because I'm just, I don't know, all the torture and all that stuff. It's like I don't think I'm claustrophobic, but I think I might just be maybe a little mildly claustrophobic. So the whole like box like chest scene and everything a couple books ago, I'm just kind of like, man, fuck that. So, but this was a huge character thing for Rand for me, in this part, because he had to not only like confront his torturers again, but he's having to make a decision on what to ultimately do with them. Like, they spread allegiance, or they said they would. Min even backs this up. So I think it's a thing where it's like, can Rand, like, he doesn't have to forgive or forget, but can he begin to move on and be kind of like, okay, we can set it all aside. And he's starting to get angry, and he's starting to be like, okay, like how would you guys like to be in the box and then be taken out, be beaten, put back in a box? And then they're all just like, we'll do it. We're scared. We don't want to do it, but we'll do it. And when Rand ultimately decides to like let them be a part of like his army or whatever,
Yeah.
or be under the wise ones, was just, I think was probably one of the best character development things we got from Rand since literally a couple chapters ago. So
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a good sign of maturity to be able to like forgive and get over it. And I mean, he, you don't want to exact vengeance on everyone. I mean, that's kind of like more of a dark one type thing. I feel like anyway, you don't. if you're gonna, at least in my perspective, if you're gonna contrast the Dark One with the dragon, the Dark One is more likely going to represent vengeance and not forgiving people. And Rand like shows a lot of maturity in being like, okay, they treated me horribly. And although he gets a little mad, he allows them to like swear allegiance and leave. But like he also needs them, right? I mean, like we were talking about earlier, he needs Aes Sedai for Kalendor. He's gonna need Aes Sedai in the last battle. He really can't be going around exacting vengeance on like all the Aes Sedai, even though some of them probably deserve it.
Mm-hmm. So, like 3 groups of Aes now, like the White Tower, we have Egwene, of these Aes Sedai that's Rand. Oh, and the Wildlings joined Egwene. Yeah, 30.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any more little section, or do you want to carry on?
No, that's pretty much it for me on that part.
Cool.
Yeah. So then let's see here. Rand decides it's time to find out what Cadsuane wants. He asks Min to join him, so because Min might be able to predict it. So they both leave the throne room, and then the throne room gets annihilated. It gets destroyed by some of the Ashaman. Rand tells Mor, which is one of the other Ashaman, to take Min to a place and just guard her. So he does that, and then Rand is still, he's fresh off of all this shit that happened, right? Kalendor stuff, getting beat up. So when he's turning the corner to try to like find who did this, he's like gonna pass out. Like he can barely hold on to the power. And then he finds out, it's some of the Ashaman who tried to kill him, which includes Dashiva, which he has always hated Dashiva. But it's confirmed now. You're starting to have some of the Ashaman go rogue and like not listen to him and try to, in fact, even try to kill him in this case.
Yeah, it's I was not expecting to see him honestly show up in this in the palace, but it was very interesting because it just, for me, it came out of nowhere. Which, well, the attack, well, obviously, because that's how it was written. But it's chaos is breaking out. Some people think he's gone mad, and then other people won't know what's going on. But then all they see walking down the hallway is just the Dragon Reborn, all pissed off, and they see an explosion. And they're just like, "Oh, what the fuck?" So, and then he spots. Was it Shalon and Alil? Shields and binds them to keep them safe.
Yep.
He's using a lot of his power. He keeps. What does he do? He keeps exploring the hallways until he. Who does he spot again?
Dashiva.
Dashiva.
He's like one of the second in command to Taim, but
yeah. So Dashiva's the one who showed up earlier in the book and told Rand that Taim wanted to set up a border with Ashaman because he thinks Egwene's Aes Sedai are going to attack them.
Right.
That's Dashiva?
Yep.
Okay. So I knew this guy was sketch, from the very beginning, because of how Robert Jordan was describing how he was treating Rand. It's pretty obvious that this guy was a fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it's confirmed.
Yeah.
And it's, what a coincidence that Taim is here too.
I know, right? And yeah, that happens right after. He does run into Narishma and Flynn and almost kills them. Which they're not bad. They're like normal. But I mean, now it's like, how do you know who's bad and who's not? I mean, it's tough because the Ashaman are like really powerful. So it's like even one of these guys could potentially kill Rand if he's not paying attention. So it's like But I mean, that's
Yeah.
a greater issue. But yeah, like you said, then Taim just shows up,
Yeah.
conveniently, which we all kind of know that at least it's been foreshadowed 100,000 times that Taim is probably gonna,
It
be a dark friend. But
just knew Tahim was evil from literally his first scene in the series. Like, I called it. But now, so this isn't a like 100% like it's Tahim, but it's a very high.
yeah, it's a high probability. I mean, it's being set up very obvious. So either he's definitely like, as far as checking all the boxes to be like sus, like this is checking every single box.
Yeah.
Your second in command goes rogue. You immediately show up 2 minutes after the assassination attempt. It's like, okay.
Yeah, literally stopping Rand from continuing down the hall, because then you could like hear Tashiva like talking and being like, "Oh, we gotta make a portal. We gotta get the
we get the fuck out of here." Yeah.
yeah." And then as soon as like Rand's going there, it's like Tahim shows up and just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Now, do you know? Do you remember? So like, I got a little confused when it came to was it the guy who Rand had protect men?
The Moore guy. Yeah.
Moore guy. Yeah. So what exactly happened to him? Because he they kept saying, oh, he's like a boy, but he's seen so much in battle. But he's like a boy, and then I don't know what. I guess I just kind of had a brain fart or something. But like randomly, he just started acting like a toddler.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck happened? Did Rand do that, or did Tahim? What just happened?
So he went insane from the taint. So we have our first example of someone truly going insane. Obviously when Lews Therin went insane, he broke the world, him and his companions. But in this case with Moore, he just, became a child, basically, like a toddler. Like he lost his brain.
He lost his shit.
Yeah. So,
okay. That's scary. It's like, okay, protect the one of the love of my life.
Yeah, 1 of 3. We got 2 out of 3 left. She's dead. We got 2.
Hey,
2 left.
that's 33.33333% of my love life. You better not fuck this up. And so and then that'd be terrifying to come back and just be like, oh, this guy went insane while protecting her and I was gone.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. But then not only that, but then Rand is just like Tahim's like, oh, I guess he's useless, another head for the tree, and then Rand's like, no. He's like, none. He's like, my village or whatever the hell had the best wisdom in the world, and she could help this guy. We're gonna keep him around. And I think Rand's doing that because he's like, okay, I don't know if it like said that Rand thought Tahim was against him, but it was like heavily implied that Rand was like, all right, Tahim, I don't want to see you here ever again.
Yeah, he does say that to him. Yeah, he's like, don't ever come to this fucking castle ever again. Yeah.
Yeah, but
with the Moore thing, Rand actually does kill him. So he gives him a wine that's drugged, and it kills him. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what he was talking about. Okay, no, I guess I got that mixed up.
So we haven't... no, go ahead. You're good.
No, I was going to say, like, I thought he, like, kept him alive and be like, oh, we'll find a cure for
him. Yeah, he made it seem like that, but then...
He was just talking about how Nynaeve showed him this stuff, and he's like, if you give too much, it'll kill him. I'm like, okay. So I was listening to this towards the end of my day, so I guess I kind of just overlooked.
No, you're good. No, yeah, I mean, he made it seem like he was going to maybe try to wait for Nynaeve to come help, but I think what he really meant was, like, we don't need to kill him in a different way. I can give him this wine and he'll die peacefully.
Yeah.
But
that makes a lot more sense than
yeah,
going through my head.
well, it's a big character development moment. Like this book in general has had a ton of character development for Rand. I mean, this is another moment where it's like he is willing to, you know, kill
And
more. When
I
previously, I don't think he would. A younger Rand probably wouldn't, but at this point,
yeah, it all has to do with that battle with the Sanshan. Like that event has changed him, and it's like, yeah. So I'm glad we get some Rand development here, and then Cad Swain's also helping with that. So
yeah.
I'd say the two biggest things for Rand this book have been Cad Swain and that battle with the Sanchan.
Yeah. But yeah,
So
Taim
I'm ready for
definitely.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Either Taim is obviously like a dark friend, or Robert Jordan's just trying to set up the biggest twist ever. But it's like so fucking obvious at this point that.
Dude, that would be fucking crazy if Taim is just like, no, I'm completely on the light. It was low gain the whole time. So that's why I think low gain's gonna. I think they're gonna find out about Taim within. I'm gonna assume within the next 2 books.
Yeah.
If not, yeah. So, and then low gain is gonna take Taim's position. So wouldn't it be cool to see, like, because Rand saw low gain in the first book when he was like climbing the wall of the castle and all that, and so like he saw him, and it's been like 8 books and he hasn't met him yet, like in person. So it's gonna be really cool. It's like, what if Logain and Rand team up to take down Taim? Like that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like a false dragon and the dragon take down another dragon who's also a
dark friend.
Forsaken.
Yeah, Forsaken.
Or you might. We use a Forsaken, or I'm damn. I don't know if you remember, but like it was like 4 or 5 books. You had a conversation with the one, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I got a plan for him," and the Dark One's like, "Ha ha ha!" Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think so. I think so.
It was a long time ago, so if you don't, it's cool. Anything else in this one you touch up on?
No, not really. Yeah, it covers it.
A Cup of Sleep. Now the chapter makes sense. A Cup of Sleep.
Yeah. All right.
I honestly forget most chapter names.
Yeah. No, I can't really remember the names either, usually. Chapter 30 is Beginnings. So Perrin meets Massima, which is the prophet. Fail, Alejandre, Magdan, Chiad, and Bane are kidnapped by the Shido in order to become Savannah's Geishine. Egwene's army moves to Tarvalin through a gateway. So this is kind of where we have like some cliffhangers, which, I don't know, that might lend to why some people don't like the book. I don't know why. Because, I mean, I've enjoyed the book so far, but these are definitely all 3 of these events are like big cliffhangers, right? I mean, massive.
They're huge.
Yeah. Perrin meeting Massima and
bigger than a weasel.
I thought it was funny when Perrin met Massima, because he was like, originally he's like, nah, I'm taking him to Rand unspoiled, not hurt. But at one point he's just like, man, can I just like knock this guy on the head and just carry him to Rand, because he's obviously just crazy. Because he's literally sent by the dragon, and Massima's just like not cooperating. Even though he supposedly worships the dragon, and he keeps calling him like the beautiful dragon, like, and shit. I don't remember exactly what
we have a guy who can just make a gateway. We can just go see him right now.
Yeah, we can just leave.
I cannot be touched by the taint. That is dark energy. It's like sinner shit. He's like, that's women's ways, or whatever he said. And Perrin's just like, dude, this guy's he's like, you're Dragon Reborn. can use the power, and then he's like, "What's different? Use the dragon." And like, I'm just like, parents just like, dude, this guy's a fucking nut.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Their whole conversation going back and forth, and
Yeah.
you can obviously that Mishima is full of shit.
Yes, so, he obviously sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Anything else on parents thing?
No, not really. That's kind of it. I mean, it's the more meaty part of it, I guess, is the Fael part, because her and two others are out hunting while parents talking to the prophet, and they get waylaid by the Shido, and they also learned the Shan-Chan are talking to the prophet, so you kind of have like a three-way army now here with the prophet, Shan-Chan, and the Shido all kind of probably working together. So Fael gets captured, and the others get captured, and Barrelane gets away. But Fael and the others get captured, and they're gonna probably get turned into Gaishine, which is actually against the Aiel customs. So the Aiel, like when they get captured, they become Gaishine, and they're like a servant for a year or whatever, because if you get captured, it's like dishonorable. But the people who aren't Aiel aren't supposed to become Gaishine because they don't follow their customs. But in this case, they're making Fael become a Gaishine anyway. But yeah. Obviously now Fael knows that Perrin's gonna get attacked and probably fall into a trap, because Mishima obviously wants them to travel by horse so that they can get caught in the trap. So now we know like why Mishima is not trying to go through the portal.
When Perrin finds out that the Shadow stripped his wife naked in the snow and put a leash on her, dude, he is gonna fucking kill everybody. Like this, that honestly, that whole sequence got me super pumped for the next book, because I'm like, once Perrin finds out, dude, he is gonna lose his shit.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, I don't know though. I mean, I feel like it's getting set up for him to get captured, because I mean, how is he gonna know that Mishima's talking to Shan-Chan? So I mean, I don't know who's gonna like save them, but
because we predicted this, remember, when we were talking about the I'm blanking on words. When last episode they had the visions, or no, Egwene, right, had the dreams about Perrin, and how it said he was
he was cutting through thorns with human voices and going to a cliff. Him and Aram.
Yeah, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And about how there'd be a trap and all this stuff.
Right.
I have to say we guessed it. I'm gonna give us a point for that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely seems like they're gonna walk into a trap for sure. So. But yeah, anything else on that portion?
It's just like, it's just the weapon. I'm just like, could you imagine just? Oh, I remember Fayu was talking about how she's like, oh, I got into Perrin, but he's finally acting the way I wanted him to. He's he's yelling back at me to acknowledge that I am strong as well. It's like the different cold aspects. It's like, from like Perrin and Rand and how they were taught to treat women, and how Solday treats their women is completely different, and they're not completely different, but different enough. And the advice Perrin got from other wolf guy is working. So
yeah.
That was interesting. So he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess I should talk
Uh,
about as well with Berylane. I guess Berylane did escape, so she could tell Perrin depending on when she gets there. But it could also set up for Berylane to come and save Fail. Um, which obviously they don't really like each other, so maybe that would like be the beginning of like them actually having a friendship. But I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. That's all I really got for that
Yeah.
section.
Then the.
We'll see.
Or go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say is that now we really this book we've really gotten to see how far the shadow have fallen, and how they're right that Rand reborn the Kara Khan would destroy what was it, he would destroy them and rebuild them or something like that.
Yeah, like something like that.
Yeah, and so we were really starting to see how far the shadow have fallen.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they're allying with like the Shan Chan now, and not following their customs anymore. Like they're making File become a Gaishan, which has never really occurred. So
And then they talk about how they're like, oh, we already have so much shine, and it's getting through the snow is difficult with all of them. And they're like, so Olivia, the one who wants to bang Ran or whatever, is like, she wants as much as she can get. So,
yep,
like,
yep.
all right. That's all I got on the Fael part and the parent part.
Okay. Then the last part here is just like short part about Egwene getting ready to move and go siege Tarval, and she talks with Gareth Bryn to get the men ready, and they get within a circle to create a gateway to teleport to Tarval, and then we'll probably start getting into the siege. The next book.
Yeah, so I feel like all of next book is going to be about the tower and the shadow.
Yeah.
With Perrin, and then maybe Matt will make a return as well, since the Sachan were talked about.
Yeah, because he wasn't in this book at all. I think really, right? I mean,
Yeah,
mentioned.
Let's spoil chapter 31 yet.
True.
No, but I'm just kidding. But you're right.
Yeah, and then chapter 31, which is after, and it's just a summary of the rumors spreading across the whole world regarding the various events. And he kind of does this with every book, where he talks about like the dissemination of information from the source and how the rumors change and the ideas change, and that kind of sets up like the next book.
Yeah, guess it'd just be easier just to read the summary on these notes is basic, because I mean the chapter was like 2 minutes in the audiobook, so just the rumors traveled across the nations despite being slowed due to the sudden onset of winter. Rumors of great battles with the dragon reborn victorious? No, the Sanchan. Rumors of Elida's head on a pike, of the rebel Aes Sedai defeated, of the Ashiman hunting and being hunted, and many, many more. Across the nations, people planned. The pattern absorbed their plans, weaving towards the future foretold. So, that summarizes after. And now that we finished the book, overall, what do you think?
I really like this book. I know we didn't record our previous conversations in the book before this. I think it's Crown of Swords. I didn't really like that one that much, Crown of Swords, but this one I really like this book. I'm not sure why a lot of people disliked it. I there's three really big cliffhangers at the end here, and there's even a big cliffhanger with Rand. Obviously like getting attacked by the Ashiman and having to deal with that. So maybe that's why people don't like it, but I mean overall I really enjoyed it. What was your thoughts?
Yeah. So like the Crown of Swords, right? Like this one, and like the next one is what people are calling the downward slope, or like the Tad slope, where you know, and we're first time readers through this series, and I could start to notice with A Crown of Swords, like that one wasn't my favorite. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite. And then before getting into this one, people were saying it was the worst one out of all of them, and so I was like, well, it is the shortest one too, so I will just see how it goes. And then I don't understand it either, because a lot of cool things happened in this book, and I think it might be different for people who are either reading it nonstop, because like we're taking breaks, like we read this book, read a different book, read this book, read a different one. So we're getting that break. So I think it's people who aren't really taking a break from the series, or uh, or they're just not feeling it as much as they used to, getting burnt out, or or just plain not really liking it. I mean, I personally don't know, because I liked it. Would I say it's my favorite one? No, I still think the first three are probably my favorite, and I think it's just because that's where a lot of the majority of the world building and the character development happened, was in those first three books, and then it slows down to kind of get more complicated. So it doesn't mean I don't like these other books, but I guess that's my overall all thought. If I had to pick one that I thought was the worst one so far, it would probably be A Crown of Swords. Uh, but I still liked it, and then I really like this book too. So I guess that's my overall thoughts on what I think of it.
Yeah, I liked. I guess I can, if I'm trying to think why people maybe wouldn't like this book. If you're reading it in real time, like let's say you read this book the year it came out, and then you get all these cliffhangers, I can imagine why you'd be probably dissatisfied. And you're gonna have to wait a few more years for another book to come out, because I mean he's had cliffhangers in other books, of course, as well, but maybe not as stark as they are in this one, where it's like very obviously several cliffhangers.
Oh yeah.
The other part that maybe, if I was trying to formulate why people maybe don't like it, is this is a shorter Wheel of Time book. Like it's significantly shorter than the other Wheel of Time books. And if you're like looking for what the other Wheel of Time books provide, which is like really long exposition, really long details, then maybe you didn't get that in this book as much, and that's not what you are reading the series for. I mean, for me personally, I like that this was a little bit shorter. I like that there was more. I don't know how else to describe, like more meat on the bone. Like we weren't like messing around with a bunch of details like we normally do, and I kind of like that more. And even like when you and I were texting about it a week or two ago, we're like, oh, I don't know how he's gonna like wrap up a lot of these storylines. And there are like a lot of cliffhangers, like we talked about, but he did get to most of the main storylines instead of just a bunch more like exposition and stuff. So I actually like that it was shorter and more succinct. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I feel like we're finally, like now it finally feels like we're in the second half of the story. Like Crown of Swords was a good mid ground, but book 8 does a really good job, in my opinion, of finally feeling like these characters have gone through a lot of change from the first book. It's been, there has to be some sort of development. So now to me it really feels like everyone's grown a lot, to a point where it's like, okay, now we're ready to see how these characters with their new attributes deal with the same problems that they dealt in the first half, or similar problems. One thing I feel like some people wouldn't enjoy this book is because some of my favorite characters on it. Bill was one of my favorite characters. Matt, uh, I've been hearing, from all the other book people I listen to and all the stuff have said that Matt is a huge fan favorite. And yeah, I do love Matt, but I'm not really seeing all the major hype yet. Like, he's a funny guy. I love seeing him, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be on later in the books because, like I said, we are in that downward slope that people keep saying. So it does go like skyrocket. So we'll see. But yeah, what do you feel about not seeing Loyal on fucking Miss My Boy?
I know,
Ogre
miss my
Boy.
boy Loyal. He's a great character, and unfortunately, like the more we get farther into the series, the more it's like I don't know when he's gonna be used or shown again. It's like we're becoming even more removed from like him being useful, which kind of sucks. But maybe when Brandon Sanderson takes over, he'll like try to find a way to like reintroduce him and like have him be more part of the Fellowship. But like right now, he's like practically like written out of the story at this point. It feels like anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
like we're getting all these other minor characters that are checked in, and we haven't checked in with Loyal in what seems like 2 books. So it's like, yeah, unfortunately.
yeah. Because I mean, like, if I'm trying to think of anything useful Loyal could do, is that now that they can teleport, they don't really need to use those rocks anymore, like the wave gates. So Loyal's obsolete there, and yeah, he's a big, strong guy. Uh, but everyone knows he doesn't like battle, so they don't want to drag him into those situations. So he's already can't do anything there, and he's writing a book, so that should, and he wants to write about Rand, so he should be closer to Rand. But Rand doesn't want to, with all the shit he's going through and all the trouble and all the assassinations. He doesn't want Loyal near. He doesn't even want other friends near him, really, when he's out doing that stuff, because he doesn't want them to get killed. So it's like, where are you gonna put Loyal?
Yeah.
And his thrilling plot line of getting married to an Ogre woman.
That he doesn't want to get married to yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wouldn't. So I think like he wouldn't say like he would not like being he would not like being married to this woman, but he's too young. He has a lot more stuff to do.
Yeah. No, I
Man,
I wish he like Robert Jordan would at least just like tack him on with like Perrin or Matt. Like maybe you can just follow them around or something. Like he's doing that in some of the other books. I don't know why he doesn't just do that, but
yeah.
I don't even know where he is right now. Like
Yeah, I have no
I have
idea.
no clue. He could just be fucking floating around in the Waygate fucking
Yeah, no idea.
universe. I don't even know where the hell he.
Blood.
Yeah, just hanging out with the wind.
Like,
Yeah.
so any lots of cliffhangers. So do you have any predictions about the next book?
I would like to see Barrelane like save Fail. I think it would be cool. Just because like they hate each other, and then it could create a friendship, and plus like at least we have I don't know. I think it would be cool if Barrelane, or even just Barrelane saves both of them, like Perrin and Fail. I think would be cool, just to like subvert expectations a little bit. Um, Egwene with the siege. I'm sure she's gonna win that. I don't know what the details will be, but I feel like Rand needs to kill Taim, but he's probably not going to because Robert Jordan needs Taim to live for like another plot arc. But I don't know. What are some of your predictions?
So I think I think Egwene's gonna lose the tower fight initially, or it's gonna be a dragged out fight. Just because of the spies they captured. I'm like, because if Egwene just goes in there, takes it, and wins after that last event with the uncovering of the spies, then I'm just gonna be, well, then what was the point of even finding the spies?
Right.
So I do think she's gonna win eventually, but I think the initial battle is gonna be lost. I think since Matt didn't show up in this book, he's gonna show up in the next book, and I think
Yeah.
because he was captured, obviously he's captured by the Sanchan. They're not just gonna have a building fall on him and kill him off. So I think since it's confirmed that the Prophet is talking with the Sanchan, that the Sanchan met prisoner, they're gonna question him, torture him, all the kinky stuff, and then but they're gonna bring him to where the Prophet is, and so Perrin and Matt are gonna unite and fight against the Aiel, the Prophet, and the Sanchan. And who knows? Maybe Rand will just. I think Rand's gonna go talk to Elaine, and she's probably gonna fuck him.
Complete the Trinity.
Complete the Trinity.
The love square.
If they don't have like one 4-way in this series, I'm just gonna. What was the point? What was the point?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of Robert Jordan's fantasies in this book.
Oh, there was. I did when I watched a review over this book. They brought up a good point that I didn't really think about, that I kind of forgot about. But it was when Avienda and Elaine are like getting close, right? And then Elaine's like, "Oh, I'm starting to like her, but kind of like more than a sister a little bit," and it's just kind of nudge that they kind of like firms that they like do anything, but it's kind of nudged that way. And in the review, like the guy is a lot older than us when talking about it, so because I was born in '97, so I didn't really see a whole lot of this. But apparently, like they were talking about how writers back in the day wouldn't have as many like gay characters or stuff, but if they did, then they would be kind of like nonchalantly, to where it's like if you were looking for it, you could say, "Oh yeah, that happened," but if you weren't looking for it, then it'd be like, "Oh, whatever." You can interpret it as something else. So he's kind of taken that stance where it's like he sees that's written, like Robert Jordan wrote it that way, but it can be either interpreted as Elaine and Avienda like getting frisky a little bit, or if you want it to be, and if you don't want it to be, then it's just them being like super close sisters,
Yeah.
So it's like an implied thing, and I think like if all three girls are gonna end up being with Rand, then I mean this was kind of inevitable. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I don't know if you caught on that or at all or anything, because it happened like probably within the first 10 chapters or so, and like I said, like that was can't remember every single detail, but
yeah, no,
what do you think about that?
I didn't remember that specifically. I remember Elaine saying like, Avienda is a great friend, and like I remember her saying, I think, yeah, like more than a sister, but I didn't think about it from that perspective. Kind of glossed over it, so that's interesting to think about. Yeah, so Robert Jordan's a horny man. So.
Well, isn't every man?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Like, I'm not sexist towards my own gender. Anyway.
All right. Well, that's
any last things?
No, I got nothing else for this book. You got anything?
I guess good. I'm good. We're ready for the next one.
Yeah, so I guess
I'll be reading Dark Tower.
Yeah, I guess I should talk about that again. So right now we're alternating between two series right now, just to kind of keep it fresh, since we're not burning out. So we just finished book 8, which is Path of Daggers and Wheel of Time, and now we're gonna read go back to the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, and we're on book 4, right? Wizard and Glass.
Yeah, we're on Wizard and Glass.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it is kind of a shame that we didn't start recording stuff until this book, but shit happens. We just decided to do it now. So, yeah, going to book 4 of Dark Tower next.
Yep.
And I guess, Andrew, you are doing pretty good at the outros, so I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I guess we should kind of decide on how much we want to read for Dark Tower in case people want to read that amount before they listen to the next episode. I can kind of pull it up here.
Yeah, you pull it up.
Let's see how long it is. So it looks like it's broken up into, there's a prologue and then part 1, part 2, interlude, part 3, part 4. So there's 4 parts with a prologue and an interlude.
Let's see. Oh, this book looks long as shit. Actually, not that bad.
It's longer for the Dark Tower books for sure compared to the previous.
How long is? Oh, I got mine on 1.25 speed, so mine's like 22 hours. Okay, so let's see. It's about, we could go from argument to, because that's about an hour. We could probably go. Let's just do all of part 1.
Okay.
For now, and then what was part 2? Interlude, Kansas. Oh, and then there's part 3, part 4.
Yeah, there's 4 parts.
Okay. All right. So it's looking is like. I think we could just go with parts, because like each part seems doable in a week for us.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
All right. So part 1.
So we'll do argument, epigraph, prologue, and then all of part 1.
All right. Sounds good. So if you're reading along, we'll do all of part 1, and then the epigraph, prologue, and argument, and that'll be for next week. But
cool.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. If you are listening on YouTube, feel free to give us a comment or a like. That really helps to grow the channel, and we appreciate it. And if you'd like to give any feedback in the comments, that's welcomed as well. This is fairly new for us, so we're welcoming any kind of feedback. And then if you're listening to this on a podcast app, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or whatever, feel free to give us a review. That helps us a lot as well. But thanks for listening.
Yes, I enjoyed me, Andrew, and and whoever else to tolerate listening to us.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see you all next week with the Dark Tower.
All right. Smell your red.